So Sophora Grace, I do believe, is online. Sophora, welcome to the Health Select Committee. I'm Hamish Campbell. I think you've been watching online most of the morning, so you're probably very familiar with the way this operates. We have your written submission. We've allocated 10 minutes to your oral submission. I'll pass it over to you now.
Kia ora, thank you. Ko tēnei taku mihi ki ngā tangata whenua, ngā tangata Māori. Ka mihi hoki au ki ngā tohu o te rohe nei. He onora nui kia hau te noho ana e te whenua Māori, kia kōrero atu, kia koutou mō te kaupapa o kai motahake. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Sophora toku ingoa, I'm a farmer and composter by trade and a proud member of Regeneration Army, a network of 260 young growers and regenerators in Tāmaki Makaurau, Auckland. The first thing I want to bring attention to is that this government has no right to assert decisions over the DNA of seeds nor the patenting and privatisation of nature on Māori land. Back in the world of Crown government, I also want to acknowledge the disproportionate weight being given to industry beneficiaries and lack of meaningful public engagement and consultation. Through the oral feedback to date, I have witnessed many industry beneficiaries speaking to the perceived economic benefits, while those same submissions externalise questions of ethics to the free market. It begs the question of whose economy are we trying to benefit? If the economic benefits look like more and easier transactions for the biggest and least ethical global players, while more ethical producers, family farms and organic farmers are forced to pay the price, is that really going to result in the long-term net benefit to our economy we're seeking? Who is it serving and where is it steering us? What do farmers here in Aotearoa want? Regeneration Army is a collective of young farmers from urban and rural growing contexts around Auckland. With 70% of farmers in Aotearoa about to retire, we represent the future of agriculture in a city that hosts a third of our nation's population. Young farmers do not want to spend our time measuring chemical doses into vats to spray all over our crops. We don't want to watch a drone live stream of GE heat-resistant cows wearing electric collars, munching down seaweed pellets at a feedlot to stop them farting. We don't want our seeds or the DNA of our food to be owned by global chemical conglomerates that make money from our illnesses. We want to work with nature. We want to use our incredible human ability to collaborate, to work alongside ecosystems that are much more intelligent than what we give credit for, which have always worked and always will work. This is Indigenous wisdom, decades of observation and interaction. And it's not some esoteric belief that all things are interconnected. It's an intrinsic truth. It was proven by Suzanne Simard in her 1997 thesis to prove to the Western academic world that trees communicate, share nutrients, and engage in interspecies cooperation to support each other to grow. This means, unfortunately, that these chemical companies that own 50% of the world's seed have been producing and selling us GM food before the academic community even knew how plants work. Do you really trust the advice of these industry beneficiaries that they are providing you? Because young farmers don't, not even close. And our fear is that the lobbying machine has done a real number on this bill, and we would be concerned about the social unrest among community and very real risk of crop destruction like that seen in the 2000s should this be progressed. Our suggestion is that Aotearoa needs a national food strategy with some clear cultural, ethical and environmental goals that we can use to look at policies like this with the appropriate perspective. The compound annual growth rate of organic food is rapidly increasing worldwide, perhaps only rivaled by the impressive trends in which Aucklanders are switching to oat milk flat whites. The people want good food produced ethically. Farmers want to work with nature. We all want to make informed decisions and have options that give us freedom. We want to enjoy the benefits of clean, green Aotearoa on our diets, lifestyles, and businesses. And we believe in a more meaningful approach to measuring economy that is ethical and sustainable. Let's talk about some of the issues, such as the labelling of GE food. Hiding the truth from consumers and knowingly writing off the New Zealand public as too stupid and uninformed to have the correct opinion about GE is paternalistic and undemocratic. Plant and food research surveys and public consultations carried out by EFSANS identify that the majority of consumers do not want to buy GE produce. Hiding the facts is not a solution, nor is it allowing the free market to actually make that ethical decision that those supporting the bill are quick to pass responsibility on. We do need some better definitions around GE technology, though, because I've been frustrated to hear research institutions in their submissions comparing apples to oranges when it comes to the types of technology we're actually talking about. Selective breeding, hybridization, and mutagenesis are varying intensities of manipulation to the natural process of cell division. Mutagenesis, for example, works by exposing bacteria, radiation, or viruses to cells, which cause them to mutate, and then selecting the mutations we want. The types of technology being enabled to market by this bill are skipping that natural interaction and editing DNA chains directly. It was described to me by a biochemical engineer as borrowing the tools of those interactions to directly edit without sifting through all of the random outcomes that nature creates when using more traditional methods to prompt genetic exchange. It's cheaper and quicker, but it's not safer. Would we really be the generation that permits commercial companies to have the power to override nature's checks and balance systems without ethics oversight on food that we're eating? GE food has been on the commercial market since 1994 with the CRISPR tomato in USA. That was 30 years ago. I'm 30 years old this year. Would you trust me to permanently change the entire food system of New Zealand? There is no clear research on how GE food is actually impacting us in terms of our health, allergies, or reproduction. I mean, sure, we might know that men's sperm count has dropped 50% since we've been consuming GE and have gone as far to identify that endocrine disrupting chemicals found in ag chem products are drivers of that shriveling. But don't take it from me. The National Center for Biotechnology Information US states that the results of most studies with GM food indicate that they may cause some common toxic effects. However, many years of research with animals and clinical trials are required for this assessment, end quote. The Americas have spent 30 years dominating the GE market, growing 95% of GE food being produced in the world. Meanwhile, that same food system fails to meet the needs of more than 47 million people in the US who face hunger, including 1 in 5 children. When I hear industry players saying our GE policy places us at risk of falling behind, my question is, why would we want to keep up with this? Let's also look at containment in America. Are farmers really getting stung by giant corporations for genetic contamination with neighboring patented crops? The Center for Food Safety US did a study in 2013 and found that Monsanto alone had 142 patent infringement suits against 466 farmers and businesses across 27 states. Unsurprisingly, the massive chemical company ended up collecting billions of dollars, paid for, of course, by the farmers. Another cool thing about Monsanto, one of the largest lobbying forces behind GE technology, is that they sell an ag chem called glyphosate, which is used widely in food producing systems around the world. Exposure to glyphosate causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Bayer, who own Monsanto, sell the drugs that treat non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Is this really the system we're trying to keep up with? It sounds like a huge steaming pile of economic opportunity to me. Let's take the example of OMG Farm here on Simon Street, a regenerative market garden that uses biodiverse systems to achieve drought, flood, pest, and disease-resistant plants by growing them how nature intended for them to grow, together in an interconnected ecosystem that naturally balances itself. Washington and Lee University reckon that the average annual gross income for farmers is just under $10,000 per hectare. OMG Farm is only 350 square meters, but if it was a hectare, it would be generating $300,000 annual gross income. And the reason they're making so much more money per hectare is both because of the way consumers value organic food, and because with organic farming, we can establish systems of diverse continuous yield without high input costs. Simply put, organic farms grow more, cost less, and sell at twice the price. They call it conventional farming, but in reality, it's a system only a few lifetimes old, and it's provenly killing us and our planet. Conventional farming has terraformed our landscapes, altered our climate, and stifled our imagination about what regenerative food systems could look like. GE is the next toy in the conventional boys' playbox, but it's time to grow up and realize that Mother Nature really does know what's best. My final message is that we are a unique nation who shouldn't be afraid to be a little radical. We've shown the world some groundbreaking measures of humanity, like paying people a minimum wage and seeing women as humans who should have rights. So maybe it's time we jump off the chemical bandwagon seeking to beat nature into a form we can own and control, and we show the world just how incredibly abundant nature is when we operate in reciprocity with our ecosystems. No one wants New Zealand to become a contained little island full of genetic experiments. We love being clean, green Aotearoa. We can innovate with GE without putting our food system and people at risk. So for young farmers, if decision makers do choose the route of a corporate takeover of our food system, we will 180 our pitchforks. And it would be a real shame because we think we've got some visionary thinkers and regenerative wisdom here in Aotearoa with the unique opportunity to be world leaders in clean food. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You've timed that absolutely perfectly, taken pretty much all of the 10 minutes. So thank you very much for your well-planned and well-thought-out submission. It really is.
Kia ora, thank you. And if any members would like to ask me questions, you please can email me, sophora@regeneration.army, and would be happy to answer across the network of young farmers I'm connected with.
Excellent. We now do need to move on to our next submitter, Iona. Iona, I do believe you're online. Iona will be our last submitter for this morning session. So welcome, Iona. We have your written